Where do tears fall? You know, it's an interesting question. One, I thought I knew the answer to. I thought tears fall from your eyes, down your cheeks, and onto a pillow, or a hospital floor, or maybe folding hands, or a funeral program. But I was wrong. The longer I live, I realize that tears don't tell us where we're from. Tears reveal to us where we are going. For years, I thought tears were a sign of weakness. I thought strong people held it together. Strong leaders don't cry. Strong women kept moving, and strong people kept going. Maybe that was you. Maybe you've hidden your tears, or maybe you gave excuses for them, or maybe you swallowed them so that no one could see you vulnerable. You know, there's an interesting thing about tears. Humans are the only species known to create emotional tears. And there are three different kinds of tears. The first tears are basal tears. Basal tears are actually on your eye right now. It's a thin film and a continuous film. It protects your eye. It keeps your eye alive, pure maintenance. And then secondly, are reflex tears. Now, reflex tears, you know when you're in the kitchen and you're cutting onions and those tears come? Those are reflex tears. There are your human rinse cycle. And then thirdly, and this is something that we're really hard at dealing with, there are emotional tears. Emotional tears may show up at a bedside, or they may even show up at a wedding. But there is a different chemical makeup with these tears, and it involves stress hormones that your body doesn't bother releasing for onions or wind. You know, sometimes about your body, it will tell you and understand things that your mind often resists. It often resists the flow of being able to understand that tears really have a meaning, that tears cleanse and tears flow, but it's never, ever a sign of weakness. And I come to understand something that day that changes everything. But I still don't know the answer to where tears come from. You know, in 2013, my father passed away, and I thought I understood what grief meant. I thought grief meant surviving. It was something to endure. It was something to overcome. But then my mother passed away suddenly last year. And no longer was I grieving the loss of two people. I was grieving the loss of two people who shaped me into who I am today. And for the first time in my life, I was living in a world without either one of them. And I realized something at that time, that no textbook, no program, no degree, no textbook, no well-meaning friend could ever teach me that my tears have something to say. For a long time, I thought grief was asking me one question: how are you going to survive this? And they're good questions, but they weren't the right questions. How are you doing? Are you okay? How are things going? That's what a lot of people ask you. But it wasn't the right questions. It was about surviving, more than surviving. It was about becoming. Who am I becoming without the two people who made me into who I am today? You know, there are mornings when getting out of the bed felt like a victory. And then there were times when I would grab the phone to talk to my mom to tell her something really great, only to realize that there would never be an answer. And then there were days when I could have the best smile in public, only to fall apart in private. Maybe you felt that way. Maybe you haven't lost a parent. Maybe you've lost a spouse or a child or a dream or a career or a marriage. Or maybe you've lost a version of yourself that no longer exists. Because grief is not limited to death. Sometimes we grieve the life we thought we were going to have. You know, as I reflect on my parents, I think of footprints in the sand. You know, the kind that people leave that really meant a lot to you and had imprints in your life. That was a major part for me. Embracing the lessons, every lessons that my parents taught me, every form of perseverance, every form of integrity were footprints. But one day, those footprints stopped because their life was complete. And then I stood there for months and I was trying to wonder, why did grief leave me here? But then I understood something that changed my life. That legacy is not what's left behind. Legacy is what's left within. Compassion, love, endurance, perseverance, faith to move forward. None of that was buried. It was just transferred from their hands to mine. And you know, I realized something that day, that tears no longer made me feel weak. Tears started to help me realize that there is a beginning of responsibility. So, where do tears fall? Today, I believe tears fall into people. Every tear leaves behind something. Perseverance, joy, love, looking for somewhere to live. Maybe someone's tears watered your life. Or maybe one day, your tears will water someone else's. So don't ask yourself, why am I crying? Ask, what am I going to do to take love to the next dimension? But when I think about it, maybe tears just don't fall into people. Maybe tears also plant. They plant hope and they plant legacy. And so, if tears find you one day, and I know they will, listen to them. Learn from them. Honor them. Then stand. Pick them up and move forward. Because one day, may you discover that even your tears knew the way.